Guys, welcome to another fun-filled episode of Sunday Sauce Pot right here on ItalianAmericanRadio.com. We have a guest tonight that we've had a couple interviews. Our first interview was back in August of 2021, and then we did a follow-up interview in January of 2023. Back in 2020, I'm sure everybody recalls what was going on. All the statues of Christopher Columbus was coming down. Well, in New Haven, Connecticut, it was no different. And tonight we have the co-chair committee from the Wooster Square Monument Committee, Bill Iovanne. Welcome to the show,
Hi,
Bill.
Thank you.
And
Glad to be here.
of course, we got the sculptor, Marc Massaro from Brantford Art Studio.
Good evening.
All right. Welcome back, Marc. Always a pleasure to have you.
Oh, same here. Same here.
And then, of course, everybody's favorite co-host, Danny Dog.
Hello, gentlemen.
How's things
Danny.
going,
Well,
Dan?
Very good, very good. I'm glad we're on, and I'm very excited about today's show.
All right. All right. So, Bill, you want to touch on this a little bit to reiterate about what's going on here with the Wooster Square Monument? Used to have Christopher Columbus up there, and now there's a new statue.
Well, the new sculpture isn't there yet, but it will be by the grace of God. We're looking at a dedication date of June 9th, 2024. But to backtrack 4 years, that was in June of 2020. I believe it was June 24th. Part of a national social uprising, what people refer to now as cancel culture. Statues were coming down all over the country. In New Haven, the city of New Haven, I think, took a proactive stance with the statue of Christopher Columbus that stood in Wooster Square for approximately 128 years. The mayor made a decision to remove, protect, and preserve the sculpture, the statue of Christopher Columbus that was in the park. It was not a good time in New Haven. It was not a good time in the country. We all know that. Shortly after the statue was removed, the mayor formed a committee. He asked myself and my late co-chair, Laura Florio-Luzzi, who we think about every day and we think about every meeting because she exemplified Italian heritage, Italian culture, just an all-around good person. So over the course of the last 4 years, and what's interesting to note is our committee, which started with 27 people, all appointed by the mayor, have never had the...
Bill, I have a question, if I could. So
absolutely.
You said everybody was appointed by the mayor of New Haven, Mayor Elker. So how did he choose his decisions? How did he choose everybody on the committee? Was that just randomly?
It's mainly people from the Wooster Square neighborhood, members of some of the societies, Santa Maria Maddalene, St. Andrew, people from the square, some people that work with the city of New Haven. That's how he came about picking out 27 people. So to take it over the course of the next 4 years, and the point I was making, our committee has never had the opportunity to meet in person. All of our meetings, all of our business has been done via Zoom, which is interesting in today's world, and also sad. But in that time, we started very slowly. We began with a mission statement. And our mission statement, quite honestly, and everything has been very, very public, But, our mission statement was to find, our committee was given a task to find a suitable replacement for the statue of Columbus that would be representative of the Italian-American experience in New Haven and Wooster Square, focusing on the contributions of the Italian-American immigrants to the betterment of the city of New Haven. So that's what we focused on. We spent the better part of the first year, year and a half, just reaching out to individuals, groups of people, talking about what happened on June 24th, 2020, why the statue came down, and where our committee was going with this. So we went to the community to get ideas. We sent out questionnaires. We had, I think it was about 135 people responded with suggestions for a suitable replacement. One of the most common denominators was exactly what Marc has created. And it was simply a family coming to America with hopes and dreams, just like a lot of our ancestors.
Do you remember that I was on, I think, the initial Zoom meeting for that? And do you remember what my suggestion was by any chance? Mark
Was it-
does.
Was it the pizza?
It was the pizza.
Because we had a couple that said it should be pizza or Frank Pepe.
Yeah.
But what was yours, Mark?
I was saying the Italian immigrant family holding up a slice of pizza.
There you go.
Not
There
bad.
you go.
Cause
We're
you know,
almost there. We don't know what's in the luggage.
yeah, right. You know, New Haven is famous for the pizza, and everybody loves New Haven pizza. So now, now we are where we are. And Mark, Bill, did you want to add anything else?
No, we're good. I mean, New Haven is famous for pizza, but New Haven is famous for so much more than that.
Absolutely. And now, Mark, we are where we are with this statue. I was on Wooster Square Monument.com, and I was looking at some pictures, some really nice pictures of the statue being packaged up and heading over to the foundry.
Yes, yeah. Well, first of all, just rewind a second. I was in the company of some extraordinarily talented artists who submitted ideas for this. It was a humbling honor to have my work selected by this committee from the many talented people who submitted ideas for this. And as you saw on the site, the sculpture was completed around August, and the committee came out and reviewed it as it was finished. There were one or two minor things that needed to be done on the sculpture, but for all intents and purposes, it was finished. And then on October 19th, it got crated up and off to the foundry it went. I have to admit, living with that sculpture in my studio for as long as it did, it was an unnerving experience seeing the thing just removed from the studio, put into wooden crates and sent off to the foundry, because once it, the process is the sculptor creates the sculpture out of clay, and the foundry makes the molds of the sculpture, and then they cast it in whatever material it's going to be cast in, plaster, bronze, variety of different materials. So it was a very awkward experience having the sculpture finally removed from my studio and up to the foundry. But the foundry in Woburn, Mass is absolutely top notch. They're going to do a beautiful job casting this thing in bronze. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, because it's when you work this way, it is definitely a two-sided issue where you have the sculptor and then you have the foundry, and both have to work together in order to produce the end result. So we're all excited about it because it finally made that miraculous turn of being completed out the door and up to the foundry.
How has the time frame been? Have you guys been on time with it, or?
We are absolutely on time. We're actually a little bit ahead of time. We've just organized a contractors meeting, which would be week after next. We're going to be on site just to look at the site, get a plan together. According to my contractors, it should probably take about 3 days to do what we have to do in the square. And again, looking for that dedication date of June 9th. We should be right on target.
So now, is there any, for security purposes, because not everybody is happy that this is going up. Is there going to be any type of, so it doesn't get vandalized or anything? I mean, what are we doing about that, Bill?
There is a coating being put on the sculpture itself, kind of, I don't know if you call it anti-vandalism, but you know, Marty, the bottom line is respect is big in an Italian family.
Absolutely.
Respect for each other. I don't care who you are, the color of your skin, where you're from. Respect has always been big in my home. It's the way we were raised. Vandalism, you know, there's people out that just feel the need to do things. I don't know if it's self-satisfaction or if they're trying to make a statement. You know, are you going to put armed guards out there? No. This is a public work of art. It's being placed there to tell a story. Its story is relatable not only to the Italian immigrants, but to all immigrants. And it's relatable. So, you know, we do the best we can. So there is a coating that's being put over the bronze. God forbid somebody decides they want to do something stupid. Simply call Parks Department, wash it off. Okay. We hope and pray that it doesn't come to something like that. You know, we've spent an awful lot of time mending fences over the last 4 years. People that were steadfastly against what was going on have become very supportive of the creation that Marc has come up with.
I mean, it's a beautiful statue. Like I said, this is our third interview. And during the first interview, Marc, I remember you had like a big, besides the sculpture, you had like benches around it and a little bit of history and stuff. Is that all still in play, or what's going on with that?
No, a different design has been come up with, you know, for how it's going to look on site. I mean, you know, Bill can tell you what they're going to do. They're putting lighting in, so the thing is going to be lit at night, and it's on a brand new slab of stone. You know, so it's going to be very impressive, and it's not the design that you saw, you know, because that was some of the things that had to be negotiated over the years that we were involved with this, that, you know, we could do this, we couldn't do that, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, some concessions had to be made, but you know, in the end, I think how it's going to be placed and how it's going to look is going to be terrific. Yeah.
And you said we're shooting for June 9th, 2024. So what's the plan for that day, Bill? Is there going to be like a big gathering in Wooster Square for this, or?
We hope so.
We
We hope so. After all this, if nobody's there, gee.
no.
I mean, like, are you going to have like singers and vendors, or, I mean, what's the plan?
No, right now, to be honest with you, we just handed that part off to our dedication committee. So they're putting together a platform for the day. It's not going to be a big vendors and all of that. We would like to do this with some class and focus on what this is all about.
So besides
wanna make-
besides tuning into Sunday Sauce Pot, how can people find out about, you know, the date, the events of the date, more about the next steps with the monument? How can people find out about it?
Like you said earlier, following our website, that's Wooster Square MC, WoosterSquareMC.com. We've begun showing Marc's work. We've kept the community involved in this project from day one. And now with all of the work that Marc has put into this, our social media team has been starting to put things up on Facebook, Instagram, on our website. And
What
we
is,
want
what
to
is the
just show
Facebook page, Bill?
it's WoosterSquareMC.com.
The Facebook page.
That's Wooster Square Monument Committee.
Okay, because the website that I was on was WoosterSquareMonument.com. So maybe they both lead you to the same place.
Everything will tie you into the same place.
Okay, but on
All right,
Facebook, it's just the Wooster Square Monument Committee. You look
Correct.
that up and you'll see all the updates you want. Dan, what's your input about all this?
I seen a picture. He did unbelievable work by Marc, and just excited to get everything back to normal. Like growing up as a kid, I was always in the park, and that original statue was what, like late 1800s, and like having
1890.
nothing there, and now getting back to normal with something beautiful. I mean, excited like anybody else.
People are very excited about it.
Yeah. I think they should have some kind of event, though. It would be good, like Marty said, a little celebration, maybe that, either the same day or right after.
You know me, I'm always looking for a way to have Italian singers out in New Haven and
Yeah, we're Italians, want to celebrate. No, it's definitely great going back to feeling some, normal. I was always in that park as a child,
that's
I grew up across the street from it, Danny.
Yeah,
That
my
was my playground.
grandmother was on Brown Street, and that's, right off of Worcester. And like I said, my uncles owned consiglios, and just
My
growing up on
grandfather-
Worcester Street was great.
My
Absolutely.
grandfather and my grandfather and my grandmother lived in Wooster Square for 35 years, from 1910 to the end of the Second World War.
Yeah,
And they had 6 children. My mother was the oldest, and she was born in Wooster Square. And so I have a strong connection to the place. I didn't grow up there, but my family did, and my grandfather did. That's where his whole life started, was in America.
exactly. Even on our last show, right, Marc? We're talking about my mother and father went to work at Libby's to buy our first house.
yeah.
They were working on a truck selling Italian ice.
When we were talking
So-
with Mark D'Angelo over there from Libby's, that was a nice show.
So, I mean, like I said, excited. I was always in that park, and like nothing there is just glad to be back to normal and, our Italian heritage.
That's pretty impressive. You trying to get back to normal. I don't think you ever were at normal, Dan.
We're
TV, what
not
are you
going
going
to
to do?
define normal, Marty. We're going to leave that one alone.
Listen,
But-
one man's crazy is another man's normal.
Danny is spot on. I don't know what normal is anymore. But we want to get something back there. And my email to the committee is to start planning the dedication day. My last sentence was, I want to have one hell of a party. So,
There you go.
Danny, Marty, I'm along your lines. It is a celebration, and it's a celebration of our heritage.
It's gonna
And I'm proud to be a part of that.
it's gonna go down in history. I mean, this is the new era that we're in now, and like I said to you before, Marc, this is just an incredible statue that you designed, and what's going through your head. You are the one who did this.
Well, it was when the Columbus Monument came down. I'm sitting there watching television with my wife, and she looked at me. She said, you have a long family history in Worcester Square. You know, how do you feel about this? What would you put there? And the idea clicked immediately because of my family connection to Worcester Square. And, you know, my grandfather living there and, you know, and it's just the whole, everything, just, you know, you know, so it was, I guess to simplify it, rather than to get too wordy, the result that you're gonna see there is very personal for me. It is very personal of what that family looks like because it's modeled after my grandmother and my grandfather. That was the inspiration. Photographs that I had of them when they came to this country. My grandfather telling me about how they were tagged, you know, and you know, so that they could be identified, and how the interpreter read the tags on their coats to see who they were, and then would turn to the interpreter and say, you know, this is Frank Consiglio, he's from Amalfi, and all that, you know, so all of that, everything that's in that sculpture is you know, there's nothing contrived in there. That's all real stuff that I remember my grandfather telling me. Everything they owned, that, you know, they had in a couple of suitcases, everything they owned. My grandfather was a commercial fisherman. I mean, you know, talk about initiative. You know, he sells his boat in Amalfi to come to the United States, you know, work like hell to buy another boat so that he could start a life here. I mean, that's, you know, that's what made this country what it is, you know, that kind of work and that kind of work ethic. And it's got, yes, it's Italians, but we have to encompass everybody because that's how people were when they came here. Germans, Polish, Irish, everybody came here, worked hard, tried to create a better life for themselves and a better life for their children, you know, as American citizens. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very, very personal thing for me. Very personal. And I want to add something else too. Bill said a moment ago how hard I worked on this. The entire committee worked to the bone to get this thing done. There was, you know, aside from me being the artist that created this thing, on the other end of it, what Bill had to handle and everything else was just, to make a bad pun, monumental. I mean, it was an amazing amount of work, you know.
So what was the most biggest obstacle in here? Besides you having a heart attack, what was the biggest obstacle here?
Bill, go ahead.
The biggest obstacle, Marty, was getting approvals for this. So we had to appear before Historic District Commission. I think it was 4 different times. So you had mentioned, you know, the original sketches that Marc had done, which had a little plaza, benches, stories. You know, when you start your project, you have all these ideas, and we wanted to see it come to fruition. And what we had originally planned was absolutely beautiful. But the community felt that green space, you know, that park is about 6 acres total. And this, what we had originally conceived, was too big for the park. So we regrouped, taking feedback from the community, talked to Marc, and we reduced it to basically, we have the base of this is a beautiful piece of Stony Creek granite, which I went out, handpicked myself in the quarry. The sculpture that Marc did, and just to say one thing about Marc, when you see this sculpture, you will see Marc's heart in this. The details that are in this sculpture are incredible. And you'll have to look at it more than one time to really appreciate what this sculpture says and the story that it tells, because it's just incredible. But, you know, we had 4 boards and commissions that we had to get approval from, including the entire Board of Alders. That was a almost 2-year process. Our committee meeting, you know, every other week, coming up with different plans, ideas, presentations. It was daunting, you know. also understand that we're all volunteers. Okay, nobody gets paid here. To keep all of these people together for this length of time, still holding on to this project. We have everybody that started. I think we've lost 2 people since we started this 4 years ago, which says an awful lot about our committee. Their commitment to this project, their commitment to the betterment of the city of New Haven, and telling the story of immigration I'm just humbled by their dedication, and I'm humbled by the work that Marc has done. And I don't know if Marc told you, Marc is an unbelievable painter. But Marc, correct me if I'm wrong, this was his first full life-size sculpture.
Yeah, I've done life-size busts before. And that's an individual, one person, and usually from, mid-chest up. But to do all, 4 figures head to toe, was quite a bit of work. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I never doubted myself. I mean, I knew I could do this. Yeah, I just knew it was a great deal more work than what I was accustomed to doing whenever I do a sculpture. But it's what I do, only on a bigger scale. And so it was a great deal of work. But there was artists. It's like athletes getting in the zone. I mean, I just would focus and close my eyes and imagine this sculpture all finished sitting in front of me. And then I would just open my eyes and start working and say, okay, this is what it needs to look like. It's getting in that zone of envisioning it finished, and then opening my eyes and saying, okay, let's get to work, and just getting in there and the actual physical application of building up all the clay and creating each figure that I did. Yeah.
Everybody, stay tuned for more updates. You could go to the Wooster Square Little Italy New Haven Facebook group. You could go to the Wooster Square Monument Facebook group, go to the Wooster Square Monument website, and you'll get all the updates about the next steps here of getting this new monument in Wooster Square. It's a life-changing time that we are in here, and we have some listeners and some viewers that are totally against this idea. Bring back Columbus, bring back Columbus. All I could say is, am I against the way that it came down? Yes. Am I opposed to the new statue? Absolutely not. You have to have an open mind with this. Italian unity. Let's stay together. Let's not be divided. This is a great sculpture. And Bill, thanks a lot for being part of the show tonight. Marc, thank you so much for your time once again. And
My pleasure.
Marty, you couldn't have captured it better than what you just said. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
All right. Danny, Marc, any final words for anybody?
I would just say right now, this is like a whirlwind all of a sudden. After 4 years, I feel like when you stand up too fast and one of your legs fell asleep and you're lightheaded because you got up too quick, all of a sudden, after 4 years, now it's at the foundry and it's going to get poured and the bronze is happening and it's all of a sudden on fast forward. And I'm just thrilled as hell. I really am. Yeah.
Well, I hope when all the big media gets invited to this event, you invite Sunday Saucepot to come out there for the unveiling.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you guys. It was a pleasure. Appreciate all the hard work.
The pleasure was ours, Danny. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity and look forward to coming back.
Same here. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Sunday Saucepot right here on ItalianAmericanRadio.com.